Kruger, what's going on?
What's up, Egg?
Not much. Happy Thursday.
Same to you.
I was thinking, oh man, hold on, let me hit this. And we're good. I was thinking since we do these on Thursdays, we should do some type of TBT, like Throwback Thursday.
Yeah.
But I don't know what we can't share.
We can start
pictures.
that next Thursday.
Yeah, like a memory. Maybe on this date,
Yeah.
back in whenever
Yeah.
this happened.
We should think of something, whether it's when we knew each other, when we didn't know each other.
Yeah. So I can tell you something that didn't happen was any type of good moves at the NBA trade line today.
So we don't have a big three.
Trade deadline
We
today.
don't have a big three of Kevin Durant, Dwight Howard, and Blake Griffin in the green.
Celtics didn't make any moves. They didn't even they didn't unload David Lee's contract.
Legitimately nothing. No moves. Not even
Yeah.
a small one.
And beside the only trade that caught my eye was Jeff Green to the Clippers.
Back with Doc.
Back with Doc, and the Clippers packaged the first-round draft pick,
Yep.
protected, largely
Yeah.
protected maybe,
Yep.
and Lance Stevenson sent him off to Memphis to bring in Jeff Green. And I was talking to Garrett through text earlier tonight, and I had mentioned that Jeff Green's good if he's like the 6th or 7th option.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
but I haven't.
Well, that was a problem when he came here. They had always thought he was going to be more of a 1 or 2 or 3 option, and it just never worked out. He just never became that guy.
He's got the most skill. You know who he reminds me of, and I'll throw it out there. I could care less.
Yeah.
Eric Smolin.
Okay.
I feel like we've talked about this before.
Just a ton of,
Just a ton of talent,
Yep.
and whether or not you have that drive to just
Yeah.
put in that little extra work. I just feel like Jeff Green got his money. He could jump through the roof.
Yep.
Same with Smolin. He had such tremendous athletic ability, but I just always felt like the drive wasn't there. So
Green always showed, and he just did enough to show you like little glimpses where you're like, if this could be the guy. And
Yeah.
it just wasn't, though.
yeah. So Jeff Green's back with Doc. He's on the Clippers with Paul Pierce. So Blake Griffin didn't
Yep.
get moved. Carmelo Anthony didn't get moved. Dwight Howard, no. DeMarcus Cousins,
Nope.
no.
Kevin Love, nope.
Kevin Love, no. But there was a lot of talk.
He
About
probably ended
Kevin
up
Love.
getting the thing that amazed me is with Kevin Love is not necessarily the amount of talk, but the amount of different ways he was lined up. Like there was different 3-team trades, which really made me think that the Cavs tried a lot to see they tried to get rid of him.
Yeah.
They weren't going to just get rid of him because he's a good player, but
Yeah.
makes you wonder: is there something there? Is it just not a good fit?
Right.
Yeah.
So the scenarios that were thrown out there, the major one was a 3-team trade.
Yep.
Sending Kevin Love to the Celtics.
Yep.
Carmelo Anthony to the Cavaliers.
Correct.
And I think Mozgov and
picks.
some of the Celtics picks
Yep.
to the Knicks.
I think the Cavs are going to throw a pick or two into, but yeah, one of the picks was
the
going to go
Knicks,
to
I don't think, have one pick in this upcoming draft.
and they didn't have one last year either.
Yeah, they need some picks.
Yeah.
So a couple things that makes you think of, or like you just mentioned, Kevin Love. This team's in first place, so the best team in the Eastern Conference.
Yep.
Something's up there.
Yeah,
And
because there was one today to Charlotte.
Kevin Love?
No, New Orleans. Excuse me. They were going to send Kevin Love to Boston, and the Pelicans were going to send Ryan Anderson to the Cavs. And I think the Celtics were going to send picks, but it was just it just seemed like they were trying really hard to get rid of him.
Yeah. So,
That or Danny Ainge was just calling everyone to see if he could match something up.
yeah, because he's been hot after Love for a while,
Yeah.
and it seems like that's his guy. And, who knows this offseason? We'll see how it ends with Cleveland. If they get bumped in the first round, then
Oof.
welcome to Boston,
Yeah.
Kevin Love. But so then the other thing about that proposed 3-team trade with the Knicks was Anthony. And he came out and emphatically said, I'm not
No trade, right?
going to Cleveland. Like, he pretty much said, I'm not going to Cleveland.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there, I'm going, all right, listen, you're in New York, you're in the Big Apple, you get
Yep.
paid a ton of money. It's good PR, you get good for your brand. But you're not gonna. They might not make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Never mind win a championship.
They probably won't make the
And
playoffs.
you have the opportunity to go to Cleveland to play with LeBron James and Kyrie Irving,
Yep.
and you're not gonna hop on that. So that threw up alarms at me, and there were a couple scenarios too where a straight up trade between Boston and New York, where Anthony would be a Celtic,
Yeah.
and I don't know, doesn't that make you hesitate a little bit? Like, all right, this guy's more, and Anthony strikes me as that type of guy. The last couple years, maybe not right off the bat.
Yeah.
The last couple years, the way he got out of Denver, went to New York. Somebody was in his ear about his image and the PR and building his brand.
Yep. Which
And
he's done.
Which he's done, and he's become more involved and more worried about that than I think what happens on the court. Am I getting the wrong read on that, or what do you think?
Don't you get a vibe? It's just he was worried about shots and worried about how many times he's going to touch the ball, which is something he should worry about if he went there. But you would think at the same time, it's not like they're asking him to take a pay cut. Just go there, be a good citizen. You're going to go way deeper in the playoffs.
Don't you think LeBron's the type of player, though, where he would cut back? Like, as much as I'm not a LeBron James fan, he seems like the type of player that would reduce his number of shots and up his
Not only
assists.
would he, I think he wants to.
Yeah.
Because I remember reading something about one of the reasons, well, obviously he wanted to go home to Cleveland or Ohio, but one of the reasons why he left Miami was because everything was just on his shoulders. He had to take all the shots. He had to run the offense. Because, Wade was in and out of the lineup, and Bosch is in and out of the lineup, and he was just playing so many minutes. I think he wants someone that he can say, all right, I can be a little bit more of a distributor, score when I have to. He doesn't. I don't think he wants to run up and down the court. He'd rather play it in a half-court offense,
Yeah. Well,
he's not 25 anymore either.
Who, LeBron or Carmelo?
LeBron, both of them. Carmelo's like 34.
Well, they came in the same draft.
Yeah.
And Carmelo should have went second to Detroit.
Darko Milicic.
But they picked Darko. And, looking back, I mean, it was when how did the Pistons, I think, they just won the championship. Or they were in the finals or something.
They were. It was a year before they won the championship. But they were in the Eastern Conference Finals that year.
But how did they get that pick? I can't remember. But
they
somehow
traded.
I can't remember who it was.
It was a trade. And it was a really good trade.
Kind of Brooklyn Nets, Celtics type
Brooklyn
thing.
Nets.
But Carmelo was sitting there at number 2, and Detroit passed and went with Darko, and then Denver swiped him up at 3.
Yeah.
At the time it made sense that they passed because
they were so good. They could say,
good.
"All right, Darko, you're just going to sit on the bench, learn.
Next couple
of years, we'll." And he was essentially, I think, a high school type of kid. Like he was only 18, 19. So
he was really young.
He was really young. So it made sense because they were in the mode where they're like, "All right, you can just sit. We'll play a couple minutes here or there." They didn't need him right away. It wasn't like they were looking to make a pick to help their image. So.
Doesn't it make, looking back too with the draft, the timing, Cleveland Cavaliers, LeBron's hometown, home state, them being terrible, especially with how the NBA lottery works, the ping pong balls. Yeah. It's kind of like the New York Knicks Patrick Ewing thing, except I think up to the next level with and you think about it too, right? Because the two real, I guess not anymore. Durant, I think, is still a top 5 player in the league, if not a top 3, maybe.
Yep.
But you have Kevin Durant, who plays in Oklahoma City, and you have LeBron James, who plays in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Do you think the NBA would rather have it that way, where the big stars are in quote unquote the smaller markets? Because the Knicks are always going to be the Knicks. The Celtics are always going to be the Celtics. Lakers.
I think no matter how bad the Lakers and the Knicks are, they're still going to draw fans. I mean, you still see the Lakers on national TV all the time.
Yeah. That might change once Kobe's gone.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the way they would like it. Because no one's – I shouldn't say that. Oklahoma City's popular because Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook are there.
Yeah.
Westbrook
winning his second consecutive All-Star game,
he is so
MVP.
Good. Yeah,
he's probably. I think he's definitely one of the. Yeah, he's top 5 right now. players in the NBA. He has to be.
Don't you feel like I just feel more and more like he makes Kevin Durant go? I don't know.
Yeah, we talked about this a little last week. It's always I'd like to see those two stick together
Yeah.
because I think they could be. I'd like to see them get a championship,
Yeah.
but you're also a little intrigued to see what they could do on their
By
own.
themselves, yeah.
But Westbrook, I think he scored 30-something points, second consecutive MVP of the All-Star game. The Western Conference scored 196 points. Every quarter except one, they put up at least 50 points. So don't you look back and say, because I thought I've been thinking about this the last couple of years watching that game is, like, if my mindset going into that game, if I'm on one of those teams,
Yeah.
is let's break 200 points.
Yeah.
You know, like let's get to 200. So to finish the game at 196,
Yeah.
man, they're getting close. And I think it's going to happen, if not next year. I think unless they make some changes, because it was nobody plays defense.
Nope.
Everyone takes about 15 3-pointers.
Yep.
Steph Curry was pulling up from half court
and hit it.
Yeah. I just thought it was interesting that the Western Conference won by 20-something points,
Yeah.
and Paul George for the Eastern Conference, he's very good,
Yep.
and I'm glad he's back to.
He's
it
healthy.
Seems like,
yeah,
he's healthy after snapping his leg in half, but he dropped 41 points
in a losing effort.
Yeah, in a losing effort, and he broke the record for 3-pointers made.
Yeah.
So, did you watch any of the game? Or
I
no?
did. You know what?
It was the highest. Oh wait, I think the baseball. I read something where I think MLB baseball game was the highest rated All-Star game out of the 4 major sports.
Yeah, I think that's good. I think it's the best game, but it's also in the middle of the summer where there's really nothing else. Training camp hasn't started. I don't have a problem with the NBA All-Star game just being like a dunk contest, a 3-point shooting. I mean, it's an All-Star game. Who cares?
Yeah.
Did
Did you watch the dunk contest?
I did.
I thought it was entertaining.
You know what? Always it is.
I thought it was entertaining. Those guys.
They put everything in slow motion, and you realize how hard it is what they do.
Well, I thought Aaron Gordon's last dunk,
The one over the
where he brought the ball down almost to his feet,
Yep.
while he was like in a sitting chair position, in midair, and then he brought it like over his, or maybe he did the whole. Anyways, but then he brought it all the way over his head and touched his. I thought that was in slow motion. That was really impressive.
Someone pointed like when he dunked over the mascot. What's the Magic's mascot? Whatever.
Yeah.
He's like, someone goes, oh, well, he pushed off of his head to get higher. I go, yeah, that makes it even cooler. Like, just the way he was able to push off, grab it. Did he go in between his legs? I don't remember what he did, but no, that was great. I thought the 3-point contest was great. The skills challenge is what it is. But
Isaiah Thomas was in it, though.
Yeah.
So, I was cheering for him. And
Yep.
it was like the small guys versus the big guys.
Yeah. I just wish it was. And I wish it was with the home run derby. I just wish it was guys that were in the All-Star game.
Really?
Yeah, I do. But now saying that, I don't think you can do that. There's not enough guys to go around to,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't mind bringing other guys in.
But then ultimately you sit there and you probably don't know who Aaron Gordon is. You know Zach LaVine because he won it last year, but you were entertained by the night's over,
So the 200-point thing, I feel like the 200-point barrier will be broken within the next couple of years.
Probably next year.
But then I'm waiting for that dude to take off from the 3-point line in the dunk contest, Because I feel like they're getting closer, or they're getting further and further away from the hoop, and they're getting closer and closer to the
thing about
line.
taking off from the free throw line is so many people have done it. You're borderline like bored by it, but then you get on a basketball court and you're like, look, and you're like, geez Louise, that's so far away.
Yeah, if you haven't been on a basketball court lately, go down and just
look at where just stand on the free throw line and think about jumping to the rim.
But not only jumping, but then like doing a swirly.
Yeah.
Did he go through in between his legs?
Went around.
Yeah. Nonetheless, it was impressive. I think those guys are amazing athletes. The 3-point contest, Klay Thompson, if I'm ever going to show Luka a video on how to shoot basketballs, it would be a video of Klay Thompson. That guy's form is just perfect.
And how about Steph Curry? His first 2 racks. He wasn't very good. I don't think he missed his last 3.
Yeah.
I just shows what we always talk about is just how hot they can get like this, you know.
And those guys I felt like, so the skills competition as whatever it is, they
Yep.
kicked up. But the guy from Minnesota, was it Towns?
Yep.
Won.
Yep.
But everyone else mobbed him on the court when
Yeah.
he won. And then even with the 3-point contest, all the guys were into it.
Yep.
The dunk contest was insane.
Yeah.
Like people were, it was like, they were going nuts. So I liked the excitement. I liked the involvement. No LeBron James. I didn't see any LeBron James.
No, I didn't.
So NBA All-Star Weekend. It's I put up. Baseball. Baseball to me is the best. Now, I did see a throwback picture. I think it was Alonzo Mourning, Patrick Ewing, and Dikembe Mutombo.
Yep.
And they had their All-Star jerseys on.
Yeah.
And nowadays, like Isaiah Thomas wears number 4 for the Celtics.
Yeah.
Paul Millsap wears number 4 for the Hawks.
Yep.
So they wear the generic Eastern Conference uniforms.
Yeah.
But they both wear the number 4.
Yeah.
In this throwback picture, Mutombo and Mourning and Ewing, Alonzo Mourning had number 26 on. And he always was a number 33.
Yeah.
And because Ewing had 33. So they actually changed the numbers for the All-Star game, which cracked me up because
All of them Georgetown guys, right? Mutombo went to Georgetown.
that must have been the picture.
Ewing. I know Ewing and Mourning went to Georgetown.
Yeah, that must have been the reason why they took the picture then.
Yeah.
But I thought it was funny that
Pretty sure Mutombo went to Georgetown. I'm not 100. I know the other 2 did.
yeah. So I sent you a text today. There's an article, and I'm going to read it word for word because I want to spend a little bit of time on this. It is baseball, but it's a different angle looking at baseball. And this is from Sporting News, and a couple different websites and news outlets ran with it.
Yep.
But it says in an attempt to create a young MLB fan base, and this stat is mind-boggling to
Yep.
me. The median age of television viewership is 56 for Major League Baseball.
Mm-hmm.
What does that tell you right there? They right there without even finishing the first sentence.
Now medium is average, right?
The median, yeah, it's the average age of
Yeah.
of a baseball, somebody watching on baseball. The average age, 56 years old.
That means that every time you and I watch, there's someone that's 80 that watches.
Yeah, well, yeah. So
Yeah.
there's no youth involvement. So what that means is as good as they're doing now, if they don't fix this, then in what, 20, 30 years,
Yeah.
15, 20 years, nobody's going to be watching because
I
all
will.
these 50s. You and I will be. But it says Cal Ripken Jr. wants to shake up youth baseball to energize the game. And he says we want to put out some ideas and try some things. Look, if someone doesn't know how to coach baseball, it can be the most boring sport in the world. You agree
I
with
think I know how to coach. It's not that boring. But yes, I do.
sharing one ball with 8 players and a pitcher. Let's try different elements. Cal Ripken Jr., Iron Man,
Yep.
Hall of Famer, world champion.
Yep. Early in his career.
Good
correct.
ambassador of the game.
Yep.
Coming out and saying,
We need to fix something.
we need to fix something. Is this Cal Ripken speaking on his own, or is this somebody speaking through Cal Ripken?
Well, I will say Cal Ripken does a Cal Ripken has a complex down in Maryland, and he also has one in South Carolina, like
Yep.
a kind of like what they built in Northborough, but it's bigger or better because he has more money.
Sure.
And the land's cheaper. And so
Where is it? Florida, you said?
there's one in Aberdeen, Maryland, and one in Myrtle Beach.
Okay,
In Myrtle
all right,
Beach.
all
Never been either or, but I've heard good things. So he sees a lot of this with youth tournaments, and they kind of focus more on the younger kids,
Because
9s,
he
10s,
has,
11s. Yep.
So there's Little League Baseball.
Yep.
And then this Cal Ripken.
Which is basically the same thing as Little League, but just if your league doesn't want to join Little League, you can join Cal Ripken.
And the rules are a little bit different in
Yeah,
Cal Ripken.
yep.
I think you can pitch from the stretch or the.
Yeah, there's different. Yeah,
But anyway, so
there's like this. It's the same concept. It's just not on ESPN like the Little League World Series.
they always show like the championship.
Yeah,
or the
yeah,
ESPN
yep.
2 on like
yeah,
a Sunday.
yeah.
So here you have a Hall of Famer, Cal Ripken Jr. He's been around the game forever with his brother, with his father. He's involved in youth baseball, and he sees. He doesn't
He
need
sees
some.
this every day. Yeah.
And so he knows whether it's because of participation,
Yep.
because it's of not maybe when kids are showing up they just look bored.
Yep.
And he says they need to change some things. And he actually named off 4 things, and I'm going to go through them if you want to go one by one. But to talk about them, starting every inning with a runner on first base. Okay.
Yep.
Starting each inning with a different count. Requiring players to steal. And switching from 3 outs an inning to 5 batters, so completely eliminating outs. Let's start with that first one. Starting every inning with a runner on first base. How does that make me like baseball more as a kid? More excitement, more action. You've got to think a little harder. What?
I think it allows more runs to be scored.
Okay, so you have more runs being scored. You
more
get another
action.
kid involved.
Yeah, you get another kid involved.
So maybe that kid doesn't have to necessarily be in the field or in the lineup.
Correct.
You can just put him on the base.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay. Do you like it?
I've seen it actually kind of in a. I've seen that in action a little bit. There's this rule called the California rule where. So when we play in tournaments, a lot of it's based on time limits, 2 hours. Not saying that a high school game is usually done in 2 hours. So unless you're playing like a 14-12 game, you're not. So what some tournaments do is if you have to go into extra innings in the playoffs, you start putting runners on base. In that setting, it's actually quite exciting. Now, saying that's extra innings, you're probably in the playoffs of a tournament. You're in a tight game, so it's sometimes they say you start the inning first and second, and you have 1 out, second and third. I don't think they necessarily do it for the excitement. They do it so you don't end up playing 17 innings because they've got to continue. Yeah. Now, saying that, it is exciting.
Okay,
but we're talking about a special situation.
We did that in slow pitch softball.
Yeah.
Extra innings. They started inning off with
we did it a couple times,
base.
and it was the first time we ever did it. We've been to the playoffs. We never got to needed to play extra innings, and the first time we did it was last year, and it was pretty exciting. But again, I don't think it's necessarily for the excitement factor. It's just because I just know in our game it was 0-0, and guys, we had 2 really good pitchers on there, and if they hadn't done that, we might have been playing for 5 hours because no one was scoring.
This intrigues me a little bit, and I'm picturing them flipping a coin.
Yep.
Or pulling something out of a hat, starting each inning with a different count. So you could start the inning with 0 balls and 2 strikes.
Yep.
And does that mean each batter for that inning?
I would think so, yeah.
So you walk up to the plate, instead of no balls, no strikes, you have no balls, 2 strikes.
Yeah.
1 ball, 1 strike. 3 balls.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I think the problem becomes is it shifts so much towards either a hitter or a pitcher.
So are you trying to grab the attention of the player so that they pay attention, that they're more involved?
I think you're trying to grab the attention of the hitter more than anything.
Okay.
Be like, hey, let's get up there and hack, so we can usually more swings lead to more balls in play, which lead to more action.
You know what's funny? Right back to slow pitch softball.
Yeah.
You start with 1 strike.
Yeah.
And in some leagues, it hits that plate, it's a strike, you're out.
Yeah.
It speeds up the game, and
I think ultimately what it goes back to is pace of play.
yeah,
And I really think
more movement, less standing around.
Yes. And I really truly think if you can get excitement from ages 9 to, let's say, 12, 13, if you can get them excited about baseball and get them in high school, then you're going to be all right.
Requiring players to steal. I don't know if I like that one. You hit a double,
Yeah.
you have to steal third? Would you pitch out? How does that happen? Are you just stealing first?
But then he's stealing.
I know that's maybe you have to steal at least 3 bases a game, but then what if you don't get 3 base runners?
That's a valid.
Requiring players to steal. What if you're
All of these have a what if, but that doesn't make sense. Or
this is the only one out of the 4 that I don't like because it could lead to injury.
What's that?
Requiring a player to steal.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you meant the next one. Yeah.
No. The out of the 4 listed, requiring a player to steal is the only one I don't like because everybody knows you're stealing. I just feel like in your kids, but we're taking a ball off the helmet, sliding funny into the bag
Yep.
because you got to get more creative with the slide
Yep.
because everyone knows you're stealing.
In your advantage, yeah.
Your advantage.
Yep.
So I just out of the four, I like that one the least. The final one, switching from 3 outs an inning to 5 batters. How do you feel about eliminating the outs as part of baseball? No more outs.
So
5
then,
batters an inning.
So you just, no matter what, 5 hitters and that's it?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
So if they all get 5 hits, you say, all right, switch it up?
Yep. 5 batters, 5 hits, innings over. I don't see pace of play. Your inning could go by quicker. Hey, you're
But essentially, you're kind of, if you get 4 hits and an out, you're kind of hurting your team, the team hitting.
yeah.
But if you get 3 outs and then you get 2 more guys to hit, you're helping the team hitting. You know what I'm saying? Like if the first 3 guys fly out, but you still get 2 more hitters.
Yeah. Again, I look at this not as necessarily pace of play. I look at it as more involvement from everybody participating on the team. All the guys. Yeah, I mean, just to read a little bit more, I guess Ripken was hired as a special advisor, said kids that play baseball tend to grow up as fans. So if baseball can attract more youth players, MLB should, in theory, get younger in the stands and in front of the television in time. Now, I compare this. It's WWE.
Yep.
They had the Attitude Era in the mid to late 90s.
Yep.
A little bit in the early 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
And it was geared towards, 18, 19-year-olds.
Yeah.
The older 18 to 35.
Yeah.
And a few years ago, they went PG.
Yeah.
And they really toned it down with the sexuality
Yep.
and the nudity and the cursing.
Yep.
And for the last 4 or 5 years, they've been gearing towards
18 and below.
the kids,
Yeah.
because for that very reason, they need to get the same with the smoking companies and cigarette companies. What they used to do,
Yeah.
they used to aim towards the young, the youth.
Yep.
For this very reason, because you fall in love with something at an early age, even if you don't know you're falling in love with it.
Yeah.
You're just gonna always
Be there. Yeah.
Yeah, you're always gonna be there, and I think it's smart. I think they may take a hit.
Yeah.
If WWE lost some fans because they're like, "What is this PG bullshit?"
Yeah.
This is garbage.
Yeah.
This is like I'm watching cartoons. But I think they're starting to see they reap the rewards and the benefits. But I think baseball, because I think last year at Fenway, opening day, I mean, a lot was geared towards the kids.
Yeah.
The activities outside the ballpark.
Absolutely.
Now, do I want Fenway to turn into a Holy Cross fit and field
Yeah.
with the Worcester Tornadoes
Yep.
and that crap in between inning? No, I don't think we need that. But I think baseball's got to do something. Are you the type? Are you a baseball purist? So I just read off these 4 ideas. You've got Cal Ripken. You've got Rob Manfred. Everyone's acknowledging that something needs to be done.
Correct.
But I mean, you look at the Hall of Fame voting process, and they don't even know who to vote in and what to do. And there's no. It's just you've got a bunch of old souls.
Yep.
It seems like running this game. Are you open to these type of radical changes in baseball?
Not at the professional level, but in the game itself, yeah. Look, you've got to find a way. You've got to change with the times, and you've got to find a way to keep kids active.
But you can't. But you've got to keep. But you keep kids active
In the game.
Right. So, but you don't want to change it too much, right?
Correct.
Because they'll get used to it as a kid, and
Yep.
then when they start watching it on TV, they're gonna go.
But at the same time,
This sucks.
I think, I guess you're right. Yeah.
So you're not open to these, like for instance, the pitch clock that they're working out in the minor leagues.
Yeah.
And they may or may not bring up to the big leagues.
See, I don't think that's. I don't see if you put a pitch clock. See, I don't think it's going to affect. I don't think you're going to have guys looking back at the clock.
Right. We're talking, but you remember we're watching it on TV.
Yeah.
So the players on the field they'll get used to it. They won't get used to
Yeah.
it. Who cares? But as a person flipping through the TV,
Yeah.
is that shot clock gonna draw you in?
No.
So you don't think that the average normal fan
Yeah.
is gonna be intrigued to see whether or not that pitcher gets the pitch off, or if there's one pitcher
Yeah.
who has the worst time.
Yeah.
He can never do it, and he's going into his third start. Clay
Yeah.
Buchholz.
Yeah.
And he's had 20 balks or
Yep.
20 balls called. And
Yeah.
he's going into that third start, and the news stations are starting to pick it up.
Yeah.
And you're Joe Blow at home,
Yeah.
and you're going, you know what? This is on the news.
Yeah.
He's pitching tonight. I'm going to turn the game on to see if he shits his pants or not.
Yeah.
Or if he can get that pitch off. You don't think it will have any effect like that?
I don't know.
I just say, because I'm envisioning people at the game.
Yeah.
Seeing the clock
Counting
going,
down.
5,
Yeah.
4, and the pitcher jumbling
Yeah.
and fumbling,
Yeah.
and was it Johnny Cueto on the mound?
Yeah,
or
when he
was
dropped
it
the ball.
Edison? Yeah, was it Johnny?
Yep.
But I just think it's more. See, something as simple as that could involve. It could sway, or it could bring somebody who left the game
Yep.
2 years ago because it's quote unquote boring.
Yeah.
Maybe this new level of excitement would bring them back in.
Yep.
And then once they have them back in, they'll have to do something else to keep them.
Yeah.
Because if you just have a shot pitch clock behind home plate,
Yeah.
and then that average viewer is going to go, you know what? Besides that, nothing's changed.
there.
I'm done watching.
Yeah.
So I think when you do something like that clock, which is kind of the distraction or I don't know the right word, but it brings them in. You bring them in, but then you need to snatch them and hold on to them. And
I think. But you really look at all sports. They've made some adjustments. Basketball didn't originally have a 3-point line, a shot clock. You couldn't dunk. You weren't allowed to dunk.
yeah.
Or you got a technical when you dunked or whatever.
You know what I'd love to see in basketball?
What?
Once it hits the rim, open game.
Really?
Like European leagues, I think,
Yeah.
do that. Once in Olympic basketball, that might be the rule.
Yeah.
But once it hits the rim, you can jump up and get it.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that. But
And the NFL's changed. They haven't really changed the game itself, but they've changed their rules to, more scoring. I think. Look, and you kind of touched something with the Hall of Fame voting. Is I think with any sport and anywhere, you've got to adjust. You've got to adjust with the times. You look at a guy like. So I'll just take like NFL, like a guy like Terry Bradshaw.
yeah.
Looks like Jay Cutler nowadays, but it was like a completely different era. Like you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, you have to be able to be open to changes like that.
Okay, so will baseball and the people who run baseball, Joe Torre,
Yeah.
Tony La Russa, will they make these changes or agree to make these changes before it's too late?
I hope so. To keep people in the stands,
You
keep
need
it
people-
important.
Because I just
Look, it's never gonna be a 2-hour game. It's just not.
yeah.
It's not basketball. It's just not that fast pace. I think there's to an extent you can change it.
But it can be that fast paced. How come our high school and college games last?
Yeah, look, like I said,
2 hours?
I'd say if we play 50 games in the summer, 90% of them are on 2-hour time limits, and we very rarely run into time limit issues.
And you don't have the advertisements and commercials.
and we don't have the
field crews in between.
yeah,
innings.
and you don't have the come out every pitch and 6 swings and change your bat, all that stuff. But now saying that at an amateur level, there's more tilted games. There's more, there's. Go ahead.
Now, would you be open to say instead of when you need to intentionally walk somebody, would you be okay with them going, okay, go to first base?
Yeah, they do it. They do it at a lot of our tournaments. Yeah.
Okay, mercy rule. Teams up by 10 after
I
7
thought
innings.
about that before.
Teams up by 10 after 7 innings. But then you have the fans who pay the money.
Yeah.
You joke and you always go in the other direction, but do you shorten the season? I think you have to. I think you freaking have to. 162 games.
I'm gonna take that and flip it to the NBA. And I was reading something on this NBA schedule.
Yeah.
How brutal it is on players.
Yeah.
Do you know that each quarter of a basketball game, the amount of dunking of the basketball goes down like 20%.
As the game progresses?
Yeah, as the game progresses.
No kidding.
Yeah.
So they talk about shortening the NBA season as
Yeah, and they were talking about how probably spreading it out a little more. You know what I'm saying?
well? Okay.
So basically, each team, there's a max of 3 and 4 nights.
Yeah.
And each team, they want to cut that down. Just the wear and tear that these guys are taking, I guess, is pretty brutal. But look, yeah, I talk about having a 200 games baseball season, but yeah, if you got to cut it down a little bit,
Dude, but
let me ask you: do you cut it down in the sense of you're done more the beginning of September, or do you stay with the same time frame and have more days off?
You cut it down and you're done the end of August.
Okay, so you start the playoffs September 1st or around there.
No, I think baseball is meant to be played in summer, spring and summer.
Yep.
And when you start getting into the fall, like deep into the fall, like October,
When you're playing night games.
I just think that's it can't be good for the athletes.
Yep.
It can't. It can't be good for your joints. It can't be good for your muscles, for your tendons. I'm sorry, it can't. Because you're Matt Harvey and you're standing on the mound. Like Matt Harvey, is there any doubt that Matt Harvey's going to run into some type of arm issue this year?
Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He had an innings limit.
Yep.
He had some very smart people saying, you hear the statistics.
Yep.
Don't pitch over this. And he went way over.
Yeah.
And he's standing on the mound in October
Mm-hmm.
in 30-degree weather
Yep. Last game of the year.
with 50, 60,000 people screaming. Your adrenaline, you could have a broken arm. It may not have a broken arm, but your adrenaline is flowing.
Yep.
And I just think that the adrenaline, the cold, I think the season's too long. B, I think these guys are training like assholes nowadays.
Yep.
I think you've got some trainers who are coming up with some crazy ass stuff, CrossFit and plyometrics,
Yep.
and you just throw, run. They got some weird stuff going on nowadays, and I just think we talked about last week about the next shoe to drop.
Yeah.
With the gambling. Watch, in 5-10 years, you're going to see all these reports and statistics, and they're probably gathering the data now about athletes who got hurt, and then they're going back to look at what their training programs are like.
Yep.
And they're going to pinpoint certain groups or classes of exercising and training that led to more injuries.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the next shoe to drop. But, I guess we got off a little off track, but baseball needs to. You can make it fun on the little league level.
Yeah.
Babe Ruth, but you gotta because you got lacrosse coming in.
Yeah.
Your soccer's always there.
Yep.
What else in the spring?
Well, I think one of the other things is just sports nowadays are just becoming more kids are just playing one or two sports. So if you don't play baseball and hockey's your sport, you can play hockey year round.
Yeah.
If you're a basketball guy, you can, AAU basketball is in the spring and summer.
Yeah.
If you play soccer, there's a lot of premier stuff and, I'd travel in the spring and the summer.
Maybe you're different, but until we got to Winnick, I remember getting there. I emailed the branch a couple times.
Yeah.
I remember getting there and going to the HLC and seeing a sign in like August saying baseball tryouts were in like 2 weeks or next week.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? It's August or September. I haven't touched a baseball since June or May or whatever. And that was my first realization that baseball is a full year sport.
Yeah, Division I baseball opens up tomorrow.
I always did basketball.
Yep.
In the winter.
Yep.
And I did baseball in the spring and summer.
I did soccer in the fall, basketball in the winter, baseball in the spring and summer.
So I don't know, maybe you knew and you just still did the other things, but until college, I didn't realize that these people played one sport year round, and it kind of was like, whoa, like holy crap! I have to go try out for. Like I didn't even have my glove. I gotta go home and get my glove. Anywho, it's interesting to see what kind of changes are made. It sounds like at your level, even if it's just to speed up during tournament play.
Yeah,
But
I think at our level, it's more geared towards, when you run a tournament or you attend a tournament, they're just going back to back to back, and some fields don't have lights, and you're just trying to speed it up.
Can I ask you a question? Because you're what ages are you around?
17-year-olds, 18-year-olds.
A couple like 2-3 parted question. Do they seem like they want to be there?
Yes, but we also deal with guys that are moving on to play college baseball.
So if you have to field the roster, your lineup is 9 guys.
Yeah.
How many guys are on that team? Are it 9 guys and everyone plays, or do you have 12, 13 people on that team and you've got to move them in and out? Are you like, how does that?
A little of both, but we've got guys that just pitch, so we generally let them know. I mean, we're in the era of arm injuries, so we don't let guys throw more than 4 or 5 innings in a game.
And this is fall,
Summer.
Okay, so this is summer.
Yep.
Okay, so they want to be there.
Yes.
They look like they're interested.
Yeah, they care.
Have you seen a dip in registration or a dip in participation over the last couple of years?
Not in our program, no.
Not in your program.
No.
Okay.
Now, with our indoor facility, we deal with little leagues and stuff like that, and there's been a dip. Some leagues have been up. Some leagues are really down.
So, because I remember we used to have birthday parties and we used to go to the batting cages for fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And it seems it seems like those batting cages have been replaced with maybe the 17, 18-year-olds that are getting ready to go on to that Division I school.
Yep.
And you don't have kids going to. Okay, so let me ask you this: they want to be there.
Yeah.
Registration hasn't really dipped.
Yep.
Are they good? Like, are they good, or are they just? Is it a bad group and there are a few good ones that aren't as bad? Like the skill, does that make sense? Like, is the skill level, the fundamentals, the knowledge of the game, okay, they seem like they want to be there, but do they understand the game? Does that make sense?
No, and it's not their fault because no one teaches them. So we deal more with guys that are looking to get recruited. Now, we do younger teams too, but it's a different kind of beast because they're younger, 12s, 13s, 14s. But these guys are trying to get recruited, and our 18-year-olds are already committed, and they're going to college in the fall. You know what they are? They're a lot better athletes than we were. But that doesn't mean that they know the game better.
Yeah. Are they backing up, when there's a play at home plate and, it's coming in from left field.
Yeah.
Does the third baseman know to cut the ball off, and does the shortstop know to cover? Or are you changing? Is that still the case? Is something?
Yeah, look, and it's funny. So we never in the summertime we never go over bunt defenses.
Yeah,
because whether you're a 12 or a major leaguer, the rotations are exactly the same.
Yeah,
I hate to. We used to call it different things in college, but the rotations are still the same. But guys don't realize that. They're like, "What do you want me to do on a bunt? What do you always do? You're a shortstop. You go. If there's a man on, it's not rocket science. I think the feel for there's not. There's no longer that fat kid that's not athletic but just can really hit and just can play baseball. You know what I'm saying? Where you look at him and you're like, man, you couldn't do anything else, but you can really play baseball.
Everybody's like a little, CrossFit warrior, can run.
Well,
17.
And look, a lot
miles.
of pitchers now. It's about how hard you can throw.
Really?
Guys that just throw hard, and might walk a small village, but they can throw hard or they can't throw a curveball. It's the game now has become more about how hard you can throw, how fast can you run, how hard can you throw it from the outfield to the infield. Yeah. Not about, hey, that kid's not that fast, but he really knows how to play the outfield.
Yeah.
Or that kid can, he looks, he might not physically look like a stud.
So you're getting young athletes or young baseball players these days moving up to the next levels that are really good athletes and don't necessarily understand the true fundamentals of the game.
Yep.
As opposed to years past
where
everyone knew the game, was taught the right way, coached the right way.
Yeah.
But you could look at him and say, listen, he knows, like you just said, knows the game.
Yeah.
But he needs to run a little more.
Yeah.
He needs to maybe get a little stronger.
Yeah.
It's flipped. It sounds like.
And we definitely have guys that have been taught certain ways, and there's the thing is the way you teach the game has evolutionized since our dads taught us, as I'm sure it is in any sport.
Yeah.
I'm sure they don't teach shooting the way they taught it when Larry Bird was playing. Whatever.
Yeah.
But it's so much more about the intangibles as opposed to just recruiting. And I think part of it is they're starting to recruit these kids so young.
Yeah.
It's and that happens. That happens in football and basketball. You see these freshmen and sophomores coming into college because what these college coaches do is they try and project guys, and if they get to that college X and they don't project, well, they just recruit another kid rather than coach them up or But a lot of it is in the kids. Look. I like a lot of high school coaches. There are some really, really bad high school coaches out there. There's plenty of them. But at the same, so no one's really teaching them. We only get them for, they do some winter stuff with us, and we get them for 2 months in the summertime. So, but they're more athletic than I think we were. But they don't play as much. Like, they don't just.
Like, I used to play in the neighborhood.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. They don't, it's like frowned upon if you just go out and throw with your buddies,
I've said it for years. They throw up a new baseball field.
Yep.
And then they lock the gate.
And they let it sit.
And the Auburn, you just like 27 signs, you step foot on the field and the cops are going to show up. Logan Field down on Mill Street, Marshall Field.
Yep.
Even they throw in a new softball field. Gates are locked.
Me and my daughter went up to Pappas, the complex up there, and there's
Which one's that, Pat?
It's the one up by Packagug, up by I don't know how to explain it. It's on the other end of Auburn. It's up on the hill, and there's a softball field, a baseball field, and a turf. All-purpose baseball field where you can play Little League, you can push the bases back, and we were she had her little mini ball and we were playing on it, and someone told us we couldn't be on. I'm like,
are you serious?
I'm like, come on. She's this was last summer.
No kidding.
Yeah, it's come on. She's kicking a ball around. It's
was it a cop or was it?
No, it was just a guy, and you know what? He was doing his job, but it's just the idea of we always I know one of the guys that does minor leaguer. They used to work with some of our guys. He went to Georgia Tech and very smart, knows the game. And we used to always talk about arm injuries. And I'm a firm believer that kids don't throw enough. The problem is I can't prove that because if I tell a kid to throw more and he gets hurt,
Now, when you say throw enough, do you mean go out and throw 100 pitches a day, or do you mean long toss?
Toss, just
or maybe
throw almost every day.
Okay.
Now, and he said, when we were kids, and we did this too with our friends, we would just go out there and just throw it as hard and as far as we could just to prove we could do it.
Yeah.
Now, we weren't thinking about, stay on top of the ball or make sure you're working downhill.
Yeah.
He's like, I firmly believe that helped me get my arm stronger.
Yeah,
I wasn't mechanically sound, and I was probably doing some bad things, but, it was just throwing every day.
Yeah.
But, we're in the technology era, so no one can... you throw more than X amount of pitches, and you're more apt to do this and that.
And no matter what you say or what advice you give, I think gone are the days where you have a team and you say, everybody go play long toss.
Yeah.
Because I feel like nowadays you're going to have that one or two kids that go, I played long toss yesterday with my dad, or I don't know, my arms feel. I think gone are those days, and now you almost have to customize it, because no matter what you say, they know something they read online.
Yeah.
Or they know their buddy who plays for this person told them to do this.
Yep.
Or they're going to see a pitching coach.
Yeah.
But anyways, we digress, and I still love the game. Changes or no changes, I'm a fan.
Yeah.
I've got a young son. If he grows up, he wants to play soccer.
Yeah.
Go for it. If he wants to play lacrosse, I'll have to figure out lacrosse. I don't
get
know
much about lacrosse.
I'll try to keep him away from it.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll let him play football. I won't let him play football.
And I think that, that's where baseball could cash in. You're reading all these people that are saying, I'm not going to let my son play football. There's an opportunity for him.
There is an opportunity.
And that's not just with baseball. That's with basketball. And, I guess even lacrosse as well.
Any sport.
You're having – football is the one sport right now that parents are saying, I will not let my son play this sport.
Don't you think with baseball too? Isn't that where the money is?
Yeah.
So don't you think parents would, like, if you're a parent and you're going to be one of those obsessive parents
Yeah.
that forces your kid to do something that you want them to do?
Yeah.
Don't you think you would pick baseball or golf?
Yeah.
Like, why
well,
would
the
you
problem
pick,
is college-wise, there's not a ton of money in baseball.
What do you mean?
Like athletic scholarship-wise.
No?
No.
Really?
Like, no, there's very few full athletic rides in baseball.
Do you think that, like NFL, Bill Belichick, the undrafted players,
Yeah.
do you think maybe that will start happening or because teams want to pinch a few pennies here or, get a jump on another team, that they'll start looking more at community colleges or state schools?
Oh, I'm sure they'd look for everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's, and when it comes down to the bottom line, absolutely.
So you're a baseball purist then.
Yeah.
You DH in the National League though, you open to that?
Yeah, I am.
But they can't even do that. Like, there's no more of a glaring, obvious need.
Forget the idea of why you put the DH in the NL because you're sick of just watching pitchers hit, whether it's just simply watching the pitchers hit or watching them get hurt while they hit.
Yeah.
The fact that they have two separate leagues that run by two different rules.
It's insane.
It'd be like the Eastern Conference playing with 6 players and the Western Conference playing with 5. And if you go to the Western Conference, you have to play with 5, and you come to the Eastern Conference, you play with 6.
It's so weird, but they can't even get that right.
And it's such a disadvantage for the American League.
Yeah.
Because
that interleague play.
Because the interleague play. When you all year you plan a roster around a designated hitter, or at least to have a spot where you can rotate. You have an extra guy where he can sit or whatever. If you're the Red Sox, you have a DH, and then just to lose them for
who does the players union? I have to guess wants that to happen because you're creating more jobs.
We were at that Red Sox weekend. That's the first thing that I think it was Sam Kennedy said is the players union wants it because it allows them to have it's another spot open. So that's
the owners would be against it. Who are they going up against?
Yeah, I think.
So why wouldn't the owners? God, I have a popsicle headache.
Yeah.
Pitchers and catchers reported today. I think for the Reds, for everybody, right?
Yeah, pretty much everyone. Yeah.
So I'm convinced myself. I don't care how skinny Pablo. Now what? I heard reports. Pablo, there was a picture online. Looks like he lost weight.
Yep.
I don't care. Spring training. He'll gain it all back by the end of the month.
I haven't actually seen it, but everyone says he's lost weight.
Now, you said Hanley was a big dude at the winter weekend.
Yeah.
And then I saw the news yesterday and said Hanley slimmed down.
Maybe I'm just I'm telling you he was big. I want to know what he looked like last year.
But I don't put any substance, I don't put any care.
Yeah.
I'm officially off the spring training bandwagon. I do not care if somebody looks good, looks bad. I'm over it.
My heart just broke a little.
Krugs, I'm sorry, but it's too much of this. This guy looks good. That guy's fat. I don't care.
Yeah.
Get me to opening day. Get me to a week before opening day. Let's talk.
Yeah.
Because I'm not. The Boston Globe on its website today, the headline read, "What's going to happen when David Ortiz meets David Price?" Like, it's the first day of spring training, and we're already at that?
Yeah.
Like, so you don't think these guys have met or talked since, like, come on.
Yeah.
But I can't. There's too many news media outlets. There's too many freaking reporters. I can't stand. I'm so over spring training. It hasn't even started yet. So, give me a spring training game on TV.
Yeah.
I love to see. I'm gonna make an extra effort this year to watch more baseball.
Yeah.
Locally on TV, I'd like to be outside because there's so many colleges around here.
Yep.
High schools. I think I'm gonna put a chair in my car, and if I am passing a game, I'm gonna get out and just watch it.
Yeah.
I love baseball, but I'm over the spring training BS. That's my rant.
Kind of broke. Everything was so positive today. You know, they're back on the field, and you just took it down.
The whole Pablo thing and his weight, and I don't care if he's down.
Pablo's the
25
guy that
pounds.
I'm not going to buy into until I see it. I don't care if he looks like, if he's, ripped. I don't care if he comes back looking like Rob Gronkowski or if he comes back looking 270. Yeah. I need to see it on the field.
What does he need to show you on the field that he can play? Because he's a bad third baseman, right?
Average.
Okay.
At best.
And he only hit left-handed, right? Like, I guess now he's on a switch hit this year. That's big news. He's on a switch hit.
I think he did switch hit last year. I think it got so bad from the right side they just.
Okay, so he's still gonna suck from the right side this year.
Exactly.
Great, awesome. So what does he have to do? Hit two. What? Pablo, continue to be an average third baseman.
Yep.
Hit me 260 during the season.
270.
Ooh, 270.
Yeah.
Okay, and what? 15 home runs?
Yeah.
Does he have that in him?
Just be productive.
Just blend in so you don't stand out.
Yeah, exactly. Just so we don't sit there and say, God, you suck this year.
The other thing I will say too, John Farrell, glad he's healthy, glad he's back.
Yeah.
I have a real hard time listening to him answer questions.
Really?
Do you believe him when he's talking?
I used to. Now I don't.
I feel like he's a politician, and you ask him a question, and he beats around the bush and doesn't answer the question. And like I said, I'm glad he's healthy. I do think if he didn't get sick, he would have been fired. And part of me, as much as I want the Sox to be good and succeed, I can see it going bad quick and hit them.
Well, here's one of the
cut them
stories
out.
that no one's talked about, and I've heard a couple of people talk about it, is if they get off to a bad start, they already have their replacement sitting next to him.
He's gonna. That's another story. I've read within the last 24 hours.
Because I think, and it goes back to Dombrowski, whether it's players or whatever, he is not married to anyone on this team.
No,
he's not married to these prospects. He's not married to the coaching staff. None of these guys were his.
Yeah,
I think that's kind of why Henry brought him in because he's really good. But I think that's one of the bonuses is he's going to kind of say, look, I don't need to keep this guy because I drafted him. Yeah. If I don't think he's right or I think we can, make the team better without this guy, then we're gonna make a switch.
Yeah.
I was a little surprised that they said he was going to be back as quick as they did last year.
Yeah.
I think Farrell's professional enough to know that if they did fire him, he would understand. Even though there'd be a stink over firing a guy that had leukemia.
But would there be? I'll let you finish, but we'll get it.
I guess my point is even though I think it's all in professionalism, and if they did fire him, Farrell would understand in a sense. But you always wonder what would happen if he wasn't. It would have been really tough to fire a manager that has leukemia, that is in the middle of battling leukemia. I guess the point is it wouldn't necessarily make Dombrowski a bad person, but could understand it looking like he was a bad person.
I don't think he could have done it while he was in going chemo and fighting cancer. I do think that though. I think he's on a short leash. I do, and
for all we know, maybe Dombrowski had a guy circled, and that guy just kind of said either, "Hey, I'm not interested," or "It's just not working out right now," and.
Yeah.
Then he said, "Well, we might as well just keep Farrell."
Yeah.
There's so many backs. You don't know. You really don't.
So spring training official or pitchers and catchers reported today. What players report next week? So what players are everyone's supposed to report by what? Probably next freaking Saturday. Ortiz will show up on Sunday.
I think it's like middle of the week, like Wednesday,
whatever.
Thursday.
So Ortiz will show up 2-3 days late. Last season for Ortiz, again, where as we get closer to the actual start of the season, we will dive into baseball. We spent a lot of time today on baseball, but not necessarily on transactions.
We didn't really talk about the NBA trade deadline, Celtics-wise.
Yeah. Well, we've got a couple. We're getting close to that 60-minute mark. We'll circle back to basketball and end on this. Are you happy they didn't make a move? Did you? Let me say this. I'm glad they didn't make a move just to make a move.
I heard this today, and I thought it summed it up the best. The teams that wanted the teams that wanted the draft picks didn't have good enough players to get back, and the teams the Celtics wanted to get players from didn't want to give their players up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So all the teams that said, yeah, we'd love those draft picks, the Celtics sat there and said, yeah, but none of your players are good enough for us to give up the picks. And all the teams the Celtics called and said, hey, I'm interested in this guy, they're saying, no, we're holding on because we're in the race. You know.
Surprised DeMarcus Cousins. They didn't, because I feel like the Kings are going south there a little bit. And somebody actually brought up a guy. I was talking to an old friend yesterday on the phone, and he actually said how he'd like to take a shot with DeMarcus Cousins because he hasn't been on a winning team. And when you're on a bad team in a bad environment like Sacramento, it can affect you.
I'm a little surprised at Cousins because so they're not a good team. Plus Rondo's a free agent. So and really Rondo's there to reestablish his value, which he's done. So he's probably not re-signing in Sacramento. So what's going to happen after this year? You know, wasn't surprised Blake Griffin didn't move. I think it was one of those where if they got blown away, they would have done it. Yeah. Is Doc the GM there too?
He's either the GM or the
does he have like final decisions on
something of operations, basketball operations. Yeah. He got a lot of money though, and I think he did take ownership. I think he's in charge of the moves.
Yeah. And look, the bottom line with Dwight is he's made it known he wants to be a free agent. So he's
Dwight Howard?
Yeah, and he's a rental. Yeah. You know.
So you could have gotten him for cheap, but you bring a guy like that in.
Well, I think the Rockets wanted like he was like had 3 years left. I think the most fascinating thing about this trade deadline was 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago. Expiring contracts were like gold in the NBA.
Yeah.
Now it's about getting the guy that has 3 or 4 years left at a decent price, you know?
Yeah.
Which is the way other sports have worked, but for whatever reason, NBA hasn't worked that way, and it's kind of flipping.
Well, Celtics, still hold on to the well, they haven't played since last time we talked because so they're back at it, I think, tomorrow night they're in Utah.
Yeah.
Seems like they always are in Utah after the All-Star break.
I think it's an ESPN game, too.
Remember KG?
You heard his name?
But it was after the All-Star.
Yeah.
It was after the All-Star break. Krug's fastest 60 minutes in sports talk radio. Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure.
I guess you don't have any trips coming up, do you?
I don't. I'll be back here next Thursday.
All right, back here next Thursday, and we'll pick it up right where we left off.
See ya.
Later, Krugs.